So today's stream might be a little bit different, insofar as each person kind of picked a topic to kind of cover. Hold on. Trying to get everything set.
Oh, lost my video, it looks like.
There we go. All right, so like I said, each person has a topic, and the first topic that got brought up was what to do with sockets with two-handers. Uh-oh, we lost Kyle. We're finding Kyle?
You there, Kyle?
Well, I guess we'll wait for a second for Kyle. Then this all just cut off. No big deal. Well, Kyle has officially died.
There we go. As soon as we start, my internet dies for a minute there.
And then Corey, you'll probably have to do whatever you did to get his camera to come back.
Yeah.
I lost the stream and everything.
Kyle, you may have to show your camera. There we go. All right. Now that Resurrect has been cast on Kyle, we can get started. So we have a few topics we want to cover. We want to talk about how we want to deal with socketing for two-handers, which may sound like a not so interesting topic, but it's quite interesting. So stick around for that. And then Corey's topic. So Kyle's topic was the two-handers. My topic is how we're going to add areas to the guild house. And then I'm still deciding based on those discussions what my topic will be. But we kind of wanted to make this more of the format that we're using going forward. Since we've gone through, found a ton of bugs. There will be bug finding episodes of this. But we have not caught up to the amount of bugs that we found because we found so many. So if we want to start by talking about two-handers, and then Corey, maybe you can try to get yourself a socketed item so we could talk about that and kind of have a visual. I don't know if you have one at all.
Like that?
Yeah, that guy. So you can see the socket down in the bottom left-hand corner. Maybe there'll be an item with more sockets somewhere. That would be awesome. But if not, then whatever.
I have two.
You might check your stash. You might have something in there. Oh, there's a 2. Good. And so the issue we have, and Kyle, if you want to take, you know what, Kyle, you take the lead on it. What's the issue, and what do you want to talk about?
I just want to talk about how we want to make sure that two-handers aren't just until you get a better two individual one-handed weapons. Because like in too many games, we were talking about this. I agree that it feels like two-handed weapons just kind of they're just not good when you could have two one-handers or one-hander and shield even. So we want to try and find ways to make sure that two-handers still feel just as good as having two one-handers.
Right. So that's a lot of individual sockets. That's cool. You even got one with a ruby in it, although I think that's one of those broken rubies from the other day.
Yeah, these are the ones with 0 strength and the ones that I duped. So we have some to test out and throw in there, but that's what it looks like.
But socket items do now put the correct stats on. I mean, those are 0 strengths, so they don't do anything. However, we did change the way it looks. They save and load properly, all that kind of stuff. In fact, I am trying to put out a patch today or tomorrow for the game for the first time in God knows how long. So we are pushing forward. We are making a lot of changes. And so to kind of extend Kyle's point, so the problem that we have with two-handers, right, is that their stats need to align with with a main hand and an offhand, and at worst be very slightly worse, because you do only have to get one of them, so you could make a case. But my goal is to make them kind of equal, or very close to equal. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's where I'm at. And the problem that we have right now is that your one-handers can have 2 socket spots, but nothing else in the game can have 4 socket spots. And so it is a discussion we're having about how many sockets do we give two-handers, you know? That's a real issue for the game. And then if we're going with 4, how exactly we're going to display them. And we've talked about this quite a bit off camera, and not on these streams. But we thought it was an interesting enough topic to move forward, and talk about here. So, Kyle, it's your topic. What do you think we should do?
It's kind of hard because if you just straight up make it like a two-hander's got the stats of 2 one-handers added together, then it's almost makes the so you have to have the rarity. So like if there's a 5% chance, you have to make it 2.5 because it's basically the same. It's the same as finding 2 like epic one-handers if you find 1 epic two-hander, you know. So I don't know if we want to adjust the rarity there if that's the way we go with it. Because otherwise two-handers feel OP, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess I have to remember what I did, to be honest. Let me bring up the code and take a look. I think stat-wise, I don't remember exactly, and it's going to take me a second to find it. That we have...
Oh, did we lose Chris? Oh, hold on.
No, I think it when I open guilds, it takes a second. My computer doesn't love opening the project. It's rather large.
Oh.
Plus, it's streaming and everything else. And
Yeah.
Anyway, a million things going on. Okay, let me look. But you can continue talking on it. But what are we thinking on sockets? Like, do we want to go up to 4? Or do we want to stay at 3? Like, we can balance the items once I find
So I
them.
think that's going to have to do. I personally see it going one of 2 ways for two-handers, and that's either just the one where we make it the stats very close to or equivalent to 2 one-handers, which I'm not the biggest fan on because that kind of leads to other complications. But the other option I'm thinking of is maybe make two-handers special in a way that they don't just get more sum total stats. They lean towards maybe get armor pen. Like that's very common with two-handers, so you can just crush things with armor. That's what's special about them, and you get 4 slots.
So if you don't have a two-hander, you can't have armor pen in that scenario?
Just maybe much less or something. I'm trying to find it. I don't want to just add the stats of 2 one-handers together. I want to find some way to make it like there's a reason you're going two-handed. Okay, there's a cool strategy with it or something.
Well, the reason you'd go two-handed is because your individual damage is higher likely for an individual blow, whereas with 2 one-handers, no, that's not true in this game because you just swing once, even with the 2 one-handers currently. But that's something we can change if we need to.
That would be another option. You could have them hit with both weapons for reduced damage or something. No, I don't know. This is kind of hard to solve.
It can be. Let's see. What does an offhand do? Okay, so a two-hander does have a slightly lower modifier than the offhand plus the main hand. Now I don't know how we want to move forward with that, but it currently does have a slightly lower modifier than the 2 of them combined, which then gets magnified if we only allow for 3
just
slots on a
meteored me
two-hander.
round 1.
Yeah, dude, that's an elite dude.
Doesn't need inherent fire? Jeez. Oh man, that's a big explosion.
Now we saw what meteor looks like.
I only caught a glimpse. I was looking at my other screen.
No, we were looking for that the other day. I don't remember if we were looking at that on the stream or not, but
Maybe you can cast Meteor now. Oh wait, no, you're gonna win this fight before then.
yeah, until you get the talents for Leighton, it can be difficult to accrue in easier fights enough latent fire to cast a meteor. So
Oh yeah, but on the two-handers, specifically for the sockets, I do really like the idea of having 4 sockets in a two-hander. I like the idea of also trying to make them feel different from just a beefed-up one-hander, even though that's kind of all they are.
Corey, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, what so you guys are talking about changing the modifier?
Well, that's one I guess we have like 2 topics, 3 topics. One is how equal do we make the modifiers? 2 is how many sockets does the two-hander get? And the third one is there anything different about a two-hander than one-handers?
Okay.
So it's kind of 3 topics. So I guess we should attack one at a time, right? So what do we think on the modifiers?
So if you have 2 one-handers, how does it work currently? I guess they should. Are they 2 attacks, or is it?
Right now they're clumped into one attack.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it has to stay that way. That's what it is at this exact moment. That can be a 4th topic. Is that something you need solved before you can talk about the modifier one?
I guess what a two-hander could potentially, yeah, I guess I would before I could really. Because if you have a two-hander, why is that now more powerful? If you have 2 one-handers, why is that less powerful or more powerful, right? Like if they both hit once, I feel like it's hard to say one is stronger than the other. Like why would a two-hander? You have less gear, so it's more less pieces of gear that you have to upgrade or equip or repair.
So here's the thought: if we make the abilities swing twice with 2 one-handers, then we can make their effects apply twice. And so builds with abilities that apply would be better with one-handers, whereas builds with kind of more direct damage and crit based and stuff like that would be better with two-handers, provided your class can use one.
Yep. And I think that's cool. That adds more, like Barrel's saying, that the procs. When you have 2 separate attacks, it could proc has 2 chances to proc, or it would have 2 stacks that proc. So
I didn't even
that makes it stronger in those ways. Whereas then that kind of balances out to where now a two-hander is more powerful because you only get the 1 chance, but it's going to hit harder.
Well, I'm not even just talking about that. Like, let's say you use something like Rend. Think WoW terms, right?
Okay.
Rend. Another thing. In this game, when you have the skill that when you crit, you get bleeding wounds on your target, well, you could crit twice with 2 one-handers. That's 2 bleeding wounds, right? So those kinds of abilities become stronger. That's, I guess, a proc. I mean, it's kind of a proc, kind of not a proc.
So what, Rend twice, you're saying?
Potentially. I mean, if we want it to.
That's an ability.
We're trying to create a difference between the 2.
Abilities don't need to proc it twice.
They don't need to, but it's something we can say this thing swings with both weapons, or we can say this thing only swings with 1 weapon.
Okay.
The problem I'm saying, though, is if you have it proc twice, I feel like shields, I would never want to shield anymore, because that's just such a good ability.
So I feel like...
Well, that's considering that your build has those kinds of procs in it, Kyle. Like, you could build your character to where you don't have much of that, and thus having the shield and the one-hander is fine. So to me, it opens up design space.
Yeah, I feel like auto attacks should be handled separately than abilities.
What if it's just it procs your skill, and then the second attack is just a regular auto attack? and maybe, I mean, we could even add a talent that maybe specifically like a rogue or something, it does get the double proc if it has 2 one-handers.
If you're using ability, I don't like the idea of having a regular attack come after it.
Okay.
I think the ability should do what it says it does. If you want an
Yeah.
ability that does that, I'm not against that, but that would be a specific ability.
I was just thinking you would still get the ability. It would just be, it calculates it or attacks it as if you're only using one weapon, and it just follows up with an auto attack using the other weapon. So you're still
Right.
getting your full ability.
So if we're doing that, the negative to that is that it is just better to use your two-hander because you're getting a better multiplier off everything with your two-hander. Because now your offhand is just a regular swing, and whatever the modifier on the damage isn't there. So it would have just been better to use a two-hander, and if we have the two-hander just be better with skills, so again, taking it to WoW for a second, you go and you Mortal Strike somebody, and it doesn't matter what your offhand is, so therefore, Mortal Strike is just always better with a two-hander, which is why two-handers have to kind of suck. So we're kind of entering that same design space. They don't have to suck as much because your offhand still swings, but it's not like you can't keep them similar and just have different design spaces for them.
So I'm thinking you still get the stats of the second weapon. Like if it adds 10 to your strength or something, you would
Sure,
still get
okay.
that 10 strength on the
But,
first
okay,
proc.
so you have a main hand that does 10 to 15 damage and an offhand that does 2 to 5 damage, or you can have a two-hander that does 12 to 20. Sorry,
Yeah, something like
that's
that.
right.
I see
12 to
what you're trying
20.
to do.
So you do 12 to 20, and then you have an ability that adds 75% damage on top of that. That 75% damage is on 12 to 20. So it's just better to do that than to have the 75% damage on the 10 to 15 plus a 2 to 5.
Yes, however,
So
I do
just
have
better.
I do have a difference. What if you're using an attack that is a CC and does almost no damage, and then it follows up with a regular full power auto attack? In that situation, it would do more damage than a two-hander. Like if you
Sure.
bash
So you're saying
someone,
like hamstring?
or like if you bash so. Oh wait, how much damage does bash do? Is it full
Up to
damage?
100. It can be full damage.
Oh, I thought bash was reduced damage. But if you do like a stun, it's a stun attack, but does like half your damage normal. A two-hander would do less damage than two one-handers in that specific situation.
Sure, okay. And now...
So that's good for rogue. Stun him and then attack him.
Sure, but now one-handers are just better.
But if you're using a warrior and you're using a power strike, the two-hander's going to do a lot more damage than the two one-handers now.
Yeah, so I feel like these are like 3, 5, probably like 5 different conversations.
Yeah.
So we've got the
that's why it's
stats.
such an interesting conversation.
Huh?
That's why it's such an interesting conversation.
Sure.
Kind of like.
So I feel like we just need to tackle one thing at a time. Like, are we
That's what
dealing
I
with
was trying to
stats? Are we dealing with auto attacks?
Well,
Are
it seems
dealing
like
with
we have to decide what they're
abilities?
going to do before we can even decide on stats, because it makes a substantial difference. So we have 3 different pathways.
So are we going to attack once or twice with two-handed weapons?
Well, no, two-handers are going to attack once. It's what we're doing with one-handers.
Sorry, two one-handed weapons is what I meant to say.
I think for the design space, we're going to have to open it up to 2. At least on an auto attack, at the very least. Because otherwise, I think Kyle's right. There's no design space.
Yep, I think that's going to... Yeah, that'll give us a lot of room to balance.
Then the question is, how do we deal with abilities with 2 one-handers? And I personally think it should be whatever the ability says, personally.
It's ability specific, I think. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. As opposed to saying every ability works this way.
Mm-hmm. Some will be off your main hand, which could be a two-hander. Some will be off.
Because that can even be a talent at times, right? So like, you have an ability and it only swings with your main hand, and you can talent it to start swinging with your offhand as well.
That'd be really cool with the rogue. Like 2 dots,
So-
2 ticks of poison or something, or whatever you want.
Right. Or you can have an ability that just always uses both weapons, and that's fine too. Or you can have an ability that's just always a one-hand thing. And you I think that gives us a lot more design space. It is more complicated, that's a negative. But it gives a lot more design space than to lock it into specific. But then the specific is a lot more understandable. So there's pluses and minuses there, I guess. Thoughts?
I mean, I definitely like the two one-handers attacking twice in some way, for sure.
Yeah. I
Okay.
like it. I'm good with that.
Okay, so now that we have that, now what do we do with the stats?
Stats should be comparable. Same item level one-hander versus, same item level two-hander versus 2 equivalent one-handers. Be about the same stats, I think.
Okay, so what we're saying in that statement is we have enough design space to make them unique without messing with their stats. Is that what you're saying, Corey?
Yeah, like if we're comparing it to WoW, for example, it's kind of silly that a lot of times it's just better to have 2 one-handers.
Right, but we're saying that we've differentiated ourselves enough away from WoW that we can correct that issue with the stats.
Yeah, I think stats should be equivalent.
Okay, I tend to agree. Kyle?
Yeah, the stats should be pretty close.
All right, well, I'm gonna literally make that change right now then and set them equal. Should I set the 2 one-handers down to the two-hander or the two-hander up to the 2 one-handers?
If we change the two-hander up to the 2 one-handers, actually either way, do we think we should increase the rarity on two-handers?
No.
No. Okay.
Well, so what's your most powerful pieces of gear? Your chest, your legs, are your weapons considered like that tier?
So, okay. Two-hander is the most powerful piece of gear because it's one drop that has the stats of both the main hand and an offhand or close. Then you have head, torso, legs, which all have the same multiplier. And then hands, feet, waist, shoulders all have a slightly reduced total. It's not massive. It's not like, oh, it's half the stats. I don't want to give the exact numbers, but just because they're going to constantly change, and I don't want somebody to come back and say, "Oh man, you said this was 5% difference or whatever," and then it's not anymore. It's slight. It's less than 10% change currently, and that may change, guys. Between the head, torso, legs, and then the hand, feet, waist, shoulders, and then you have your offhand, which is about to have the exact same multiplier as the two-hander would be. 1 plus this amount, right? And it's the weakest thing that you have currently.
Okay. I feel like a more direct answer then would be like if someone asked me how I expect it to be, maybe I expect a two-hander to give slightly less total stats than 2 one-handers, but do... Oh, no, that's kind of hard. I was thinking do more physical damage, like damage on attack, but then that doesn't work.
That's not how our item system works either.
Yeah, that's...
So, the item system works by rolling off individual stats at a time, so it can.
Plus, it's hard for mages
damage
and healers.
Yeah, you can't just give it flat out 2 times as many rolls for stats as 2 one-handers. I think that's a little unfair.
Why? If they get the same amount of stats, isn't that what we just said? We all agreed that we have the design space now that the stats should be the same.
Okay.
Didn't we?
Yeah. No, I was just thinking it would be close. It can be the same then. Yeah.
And then, so are we raising? Do we feel like damage is too high in the game, or do we feel like damage is too low in the game? That's my question. If damage is too high, I'm going to lower the one-handers down to equal to the two-hander. If the damage we feel is too low in the game, then I'm going to raise the two-hander to equal the one-handers. Make sense?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I have not used two-handers really yet. I've mostly only gotten
Nope,
good
just think of the damage in the
So-
game. Think of the damage in the game as a monolith. Do you feel things die too quickly or too slow?
I was gonna say actually like right where it's at with the damage one-handers do.
Okay, so that would be a 1 point in favor of raising two-handers to equal one-handers. Corey.
Hard to tell, really. Like comparing physical damage to magic damage, you're saying?
No, just all damage, right? This would kind of give us a design point of whether the damage needs to go up or down in the game. And this is just one instance of that we're kind of correcting now, and then we could move in that direction as we're balancing.
Okay. That's hard. One-handers seem to be decent. I don't think I have a two-hander currently.
Yeah, you don't even have two one-handers.
Yeah, hard for me to say. I don't have enough of a feeling on it. Like 20 to 30 basic attack on a one-hander right now. Well, these guys are lower level, I think, too.
Yeah, I don't remember whether that
What level
tooltip
are you?
calculates their armor in.
What level is your guys?
6-7, I think.
Maybe we might want to make a note to display levels. Just what your character level is. What do you think?
In combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Is there not a tooltip when you hover over the heads?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's probably.
Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, so I'm
I don't know
6,
if it's
8.
not.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's
then.
6. That guy's only level 1.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Cool.
6, 7, 7. That's fine. So then this is going to do 27 to 37. I had a one-hander that was doing about 20 to 30. One-handers seem in line. Should they do as much as a fireball, though? Probably not.
Well, maybe Fireball's also got
Alright,
the range
so-
advantage.
My vote would have been to come down because I prefer to balance down rather than up because that starts to scale crazy. So maybe meet in the middle then.
Yeah, that's true. Because maybe if I like the damage one-handers are at right now, and I'm not usually dual wielding because I haven't gotten a lot of good one-handers.
So do you like it because you like feeling overpowered? Do you like it because it's...
I feel like things die quick enough that I don't feel like matches drag on, but I also think it takes long enough to kill something that enemies feel like a threat.
All right, for now I met it in the middle so that we can move on. That should be fine. I didn't change main hand damage, I changed offhand damage. So main hands are still going to be basically where they're at. Offhand damage came down just a tiny bit, and then two-hand damage came up just a tiny bit.
Okay.
So, probably people will not even notice the difference, to be honest. It's that small, but that's what I did there. So there we go. Change something live, guys. Live. All right. So, okay, we talk about the modifier sockets. Kyle wanted to do 4. He already said that. Corey.
For a two-hander?
Mm-hmm.
The two
Maximum
one-handers
4.
are going to have 6 potentially.
No, they have 4 max. Currently.
2 one-handers? So
Yeah.
one one-hander, sorry.
One one-hander, max 2. Currently.
So all armor is max of 3. One-handers
No.
max of no. Oh, what's
Only
max of armor?
torso and legs can get 3
Oh,
sockets
okay.
currently.
That's right. I like that.
That doesn't mean it has to stay that way, but you can have a crap ton of sockets right now. Let's see. You can have maximum
Like
2, 4, 6, 8, 10,
16.
12, 14, 16, 18 sockets.
18. Wow. Yeah, okay, that's a pretty good amount.
Oh, shoot, no, sorry. 20. 20 max sockets is where we're at right now. That's a lot of gems, which I want. I want you to have that ability to really customize your gear. And if you get a piece of gear, you're like, I love this piece of gear, but I really need this. And then you can kind of socket towards that. So we already have a lot of sockets. I don't know that we need to add more, but we can. Now that maximum socketing only currently exists on one-hander, 2 one-handers. So a main hand, offhand spec. The max for 2-hand spec is 19. My vote would be, since we decided to equalize the stats, that we have the chance of getting a 4-socketed 2-hander. That'd be my vote. And that would just be rather rare. So that would be kind of the rarity you're looking for, Kyle, maybe. Is getting that 2-hander with the 4 sockets.
Yeah. Okay.
Corey?
Yeah.
All right.
I like
so
4.
4 sockets. So and
Again,
then
that kind of keeps things balanced with the 2 one-handers and the 1 2-hander.
Yep. All right. I think that covers all of the topics. We want to swing twice with dual wield. That's a big change to the game. Don't expect that next week, everybody. But I will work on it. The modifiers we've set equal. The sockets can both add up to 4. And we do feel like we have enough design space to differentiate the 2. That was the 4 points I had. Does anybody else have another point?
I think that was everything I remember.
Yeah, I think that covers
right.
it.
Well, that was only about 32 minutes on 2-handers. Not bad, guys. But like I said, it was a lively discussion. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we talk about constantly between the 3 of us. Gives you guys a good example of where we're going with it. And, the thought that we do put into things, we don't just go, let's do this, and then that's it. Like, it's not like that when we're discussing things. Okay, the next topic is Corey's topic, and I don't know that we're going to have time for a topic for me, and that's fine. 2 topics is plenty good enough. Was how guild house areas open. So currently, like, Corey, if you'll click that upgrade button at the top center of the guild house, and then after clicking that, it gives you a menu of everything.
Yep.
That menu is how we. Wow, the stream is very far behind, so it's hard for me to see what you're doing. Anyway, this is currently how we literally put stuff in. And so in level 2, the option to unlock the blacksmith slot opens up. Now we probably should have a tooltip over that. Is there a tooltip over that lock?
No.
Okay, so we probably should have a tooltip unlocks level 2. That's something we can definitely put in. Before we even start this discussion.
I mean, what these are really just a tooltip on all of these. They don't really have a tooltip at all. Like, what does the stash upgrade get me for 500? What am I paying for? The infirmary, I can hover over this and it tells you, okay, but like that would be something that should hover over the infirmary as well.
Okay. Yeah. Agreed. I think that that's just better. I don't think that there's any negative to that. Kyle, can you see any negative to doing that?
Oh,
Okay,
that sounds good to me.
we all agree there. Let's say tool tips needed for
Guild house upgrades.
guild house upgrades. Congratulations, Corey. That's being assigned to you.
Cool.
If you click on one of the unlocked rooms, nothing happens right now, right?
No.
I mean, one of the locked rooms, not unlocked.
Shouldn't.
If we were to click on an unlocked room, I mean, gosh, a locked room. There we go. Do we want to just open up that guild house upgrades menu? So you can be like, hey, this is how you unlock it, right when you click on it.
That's probably good, Corey.
Probably, yeah. I feel like
let
it
me
would need
catch
to
up.
highlight a little though. Right, we
Yeah.
talked about the highlights already, so as long as that's
but-
there, then yeah.
Yeah, we have a shadow that's going to go in there, so we could just like reduce the shadow opacity by a little bit or something, and
Mhm.
you'll notice a slight flicker.
Yep. I could build the infirmary right now, and this would build out. Now that I've done that.
If you click the infirmary build, it will build. In fact, you probably should.
Go.
You probably already have. I just can't see it on the stream.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So then if they're locked, then we just need to show probably the tooltip to what it is with why it's locked, right? Or when it will unlock at.
Yep. All right, I gave you 3 things to do on there. So those 2 tooltips, and then the unlock when the room is clicked. That should give you a good setup to go through. So then let me explain how rooms are currently planning to be unlocked. And I think I mentioned this before, but we'll just do it again because it's for the sake of this conversation. Each level for the first 6 levels will have a new unlockable room in your guild house. That unlockable room in the first level is the infirmary, which Corey just unlocked. And the infirmary, what that does, just so people know what it does, is if you have your character be knocked out in the game, they have a chance to incur a negative trait.
Like this guy
cracked
has.
head.
Guy's got a ruptured hamstring because he was knocked out.
Right. So if you put him in the infirmary, then over time that will heal. It will not heal unless he's in the infirmary. So it basically takes your character away from you for a little while in order to get them healed, though you can pull them out at any time.
Is there a
So you
progress
can unlock
bar
that.
or anything? Or
I don't think there is, but we should add one. So let me just create an issue for that real fast.
I can create it so you can keep going.
Sure, you go right ahead. And then anyway, so that gets rid of the negative traits. Eventually, the severity of the negative trait is going to take longer. Right now, they all take the same. It is what it is. It's a base system. We have a lot of balancing to do there. If on the map for level 1 is the blacksmith, right? You have to go to the blacksmith to do the blacksmith work to enhance your items. In level 2, you will be able to unlock the blacksmith because the blacksmith will travel with you. And it'll allow you to unlock his space and essentially pay for his equipment to be in your guild house, and then you won't have to go to him. In the second level, you'll have the jeweler, right? So that's the system we're working on currently. It is the system that it's stopped me up for so long, but is making progress. The jeweler will allow you to unsocket items as well as upgrade your gems. So in level 1, you'll be building up all these gems. It might be slightly confusing, but if we have in the guild house a locked jeweler room, I think people will notice that and be like, "Oh, okay, all right. Eventually, I'm going to get to put a jeweler to get to a jeweler to do these things." But on that in level 2, the jeweler will be on the map, just like the blacksmith is on the map in level 1. So in level 3, you'll be able to just add the jeweler room. In level 3, you'll have an enchanter. Enchanter is another type of enhancing items. And so in level 4, you'll just be able to unlock whatever we call the enchanter's shop, and so on and so forth. So for the first 5 levels, you're getting new features, and by the 6th level, you can get them all in your guild house. That is the current design of how we unlock things. And then I will be very clear. I actually don't know what the last 2 rooms will be. I have notes for things that I think I like, but I have not locked them in. So there's plenty of space to talk about those things. Originally, the Enchanter was going to be the second one, but I really wanted to get this socketing in, and it was a big chunk to bite off. It was a big change to my item system and everything, which that's all in, mind you. Um, but that's kind of what stopped me up a while ago, and yeah, you know. So, what do you guys think of that? Does that answer the questions? Do we want to amend that system? So on and so forth. Corey, it's your topic. Go for it.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's cool. Give some customization. Obviously, we want to see more upgrades available, but that will come in time. So, like, the infirmary can upgrade speed, or maybe we have paths for these then also. Maybe speed or number of people for this one. Maybe you can pick a path when you upgrade.
Interesting. Um, works for the infirmary. Infirmary. What would you do for the blacksmith at that point?
I don't know too much about what the blacksmith is going to be yet. So,
He's right up there. It allows you to switch your one stat on an item from something to a main stat of the same stat value, believe rounded down, um, on an item. So, for instance, let's say you get on your warrior an item that gives you int, and you're like, I don't want int on this warrior. Okay,
okay.
fine. You could then switch that to any other main stat. So that could go to stam, strength, int. Well, not int because that's what we're switching from, but any other thing could switch to int. Spirit, dex, or agility. Now, same thing goes for like if you have resist rating or crit rating, you can only go to the base stats. You can't go to the narrowed down stats. And the reason for that is because that allows you to focus your character almost too much to min max. And I wanted to resist that hard direction towards min maxing. That's what the blacksmith does. So it allows you to reforge an item, is what it's called, and you can do it exactly once per item.
Oh, per item, you can only do it once.
Yes.
Okay.
But it also gives you control. You get an item that's so good, except for this one stat, it lets you.
Oh, so I've got to go get his hammer first before I can do that.
So you get to pick the stats rerolling?
Yes, you get to pick the stats rerolling. You don't have to sit there and reroll it all day. I mean, we could make you do that, but that's just gonna frustrate people. And they're gonna reroll it until they get the stat they want. So it's just like just pick it, and then we can balance the price of it very specifically. Right now, it's not very balanced. It's too cheap in my opinion. But that's on purpose because until we get to where we can balance gold, which happens more and more as these systems get in, and the jeweler is going to be a big balance
You
towards
troll.
gold.
He's just guarding your guild house. Oh my god.
he really likes you.
Oh my god, what a dick.
Anyway, yeah, so that's what the blacksmith does, and you will have to do quests to unlock each one of them. You can't complete the level without unlocking them. So anyway, that's part of our storyline and our questing, and developing NPCs for the world. I'm open to having skill paths, but I don't.
Yeah, not everyone's going to be the same. Yeah, I think I was just saying that was an option because I might want to upgrade 2 guys at once, or I may want to speed up 1 guy at a time, and just an option. Or maybe level 2 does speed and level 3 does quantity and level 4 does speed, and
Could be.
but as for the blacksmith, maybe
because the blacksmith really only does one.
you get to pick what you want to put it to. Sorry, I missed that part. So I can pick that I want to go intellect to stamina.
Yes.
Okay.
You pick the thing you want to take off, and then you pick the thing you want. There's no random. It's just get what you want.
Okay.
But one time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with upgrades there then.
And then you kind of have the same thing with the Jewelcrafter. I mean, the Jewelcrafter has two things it can do. It can pull gems out, and then it can put gems in. Originally, I was just going to reduce the costs of doing it based on the upgrades, and the same thing for the Blacksmith. It was just going to be a cost reduction on the upgrades, but
Okay.
we could also make it to where some of the upgrades for the Blacksmith are you can only blacksmith certain level items, like, oh, this is
Right.
1 to 10, and you have to upgrade it to get from 11 to 20. I'm not super sold on that, mainly because you unlock your Blacksmith and you're on level 10 and your gear's like level 60 and you got to upgrade the thing 6 times before you can even enchant your gear. That's a little frustrating. So because each level you start with a kind of busted up guild house is kind of the idea, because you're going to a new town and you didn't already exist there as a guild, so there's upgrading that has to happen. But those are all things we can talk about.
Sure. That gets a little deeper, but yeah, I like it. I think that could work. We could get into crafting potentially, and that would upgrade. I don't know. Maybe you don't need to upgrade for that. You could do like you'd
So
find
essentially-
recipes, obviously, that they could do, or
Gathering materials that then allow you to create items. Probably be a blacksmith thing if we did it,
yeah.
since we already have a blacksmith.
Well,
I'm not necessarily against
the
it.
blacksmith would craft what gear? I guess the jeweler would craft gems.
Well, how do you craft a gem?
Okay.
That's a
point.
I mean, they upgrade the gems. I mean, they're already going to
Yeah.
have that ability, right? So, so in that way, sure. But you're still going to have the base level of the gem. Gem level 1, that's your smallest possible piece.
You cut the gem. Basically, you find rough gems and then you cut them. Beryl says.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
what's
could.
the advantage at that point of why would you want the cut gem compared to just give me a gem? You know, is it just because we want a gold cost on it then at that point, or why would we do that?
It would essentially be a
So
gold sink.
I was kind of thinking along the lines of you send guys out to gather scraps for the different things. So maybe, you know, part of upgrading would be you can send a guy on a mission or something like that. You know, you could send your jeweler out based on the level. He can return with those gems around that level. Same with the blacksmith. Maybe you send him out to get
Interesting.
scraps.
Okay.
If you're not using him, you send him out. 8 hours later, he comes back or whatever. You know, just throwing a time out there. But or you could pick a
Right.
mission, right? Send him out for an hour, send him out for 2 hours, send him out for 8 hours, and then he comes back with some scraps based on his level. I guess that would kind of work for blacksmith, jeweler, infirmary. The levels
It
would be
would.
different, so
And then you'd have a gold sink. So first of all, you can't use that guy because he's gone. That's a good balance in my opinion. And then on top of that, you have a gold sink if you want to use what he's collected. I think that's a definite possibility. I mean, I don't want to say full on yes, you know, but I think it should go on a list, maybe in the icebox. Like, do we want to do this? Is this something we want to sink time into? Overall, I think I like it. Kyle?
Yeah, I like systems like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'd icebox that. You know, I would put it in. I mean, it's not something we're gonna get to. That's a big balancing system to do, but I think I like it, so that's good. And then your stash upgrades are essentially going to be like bigger, 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 and then maybe a new tab, bigger, bigger, bigger on that tab, new tab. That's what stash upgrades are also. You can do that now. You can open your stash and then hit the stash upgrade, and it should show you that. I don't know if you have. Oh yeah, you have plenty of money. So money in this game is not yet balanced well. It's something that we've got to spend some time in at some point. Anyway, does that answer your questions, Corey? Anything else to bring up? Kyle, did you have anything to add also?
Yeah, I think so. That's good. I like to see that your guild house is kind of building up, and then each town you start over. Is there a way to go back and forth between towns?
No.
Okay, so once you leave, you've left.
Now, we did talk about the Zavix Tower thing, so I don't want to bring that up now.
Mhm.
That is something we can bring up next episode, which just that's going to take probably a whole episode of this.
Alex Tower thing?
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
We'll talk about it next time. I don't want to get once we get into it. It's going to be a rabbit hole. So I guess the 1,000-foot view is taking this system and creating Zavix Tower in it, and then we'll just leave it there for now. So that would be something that would allow you to continue go back and leave and go back and leave and go back. In this game, if I had what I wanted to do. So I wanted to caveat that you can go back and replay a mission, but it starts you where you started that mission.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
You start over.
Kind of. Now we could change that. That's what it is now. But that's a whole nother topic that we can go to. If we want to allow you to keep coming back and leaving and coming back and leaving, coming back and leaving, I'm not against that. I guess that would solve some issues like you've you went to level 2, you're like, it's too hard. Going back to level 1. I'm not against that. But just right now, that's not how it works. So we can definitely talk there. But we're at 52 minutes. I think that's a good spot to call it, unless somebody else has something specific to bring up.
Yeah, I'm excited to build these out. It's cool. Not even something WoW lets you do, so unfortunate. Such a big game.
What doesn't WoW let you do?
Customize a guild.
Oh, yeah. Well,
It's always something
Okay.
that BFA was the perfect example for, but never gave me my
Anyway.
guild ship, so I was bummed out.
All right. Well, I guess in that case, peace out, guys.
See you next week.
See you next week.